Now, outside, we talked about how these different things relate to each other, okay? The first law that we're going to have, we're going to go through a whole bunch of laws that deal with gases, okay? Meaning what? What's the law? Law has been verified with scientific evidence over a long time, indisputable, and there is a quantifiable relationship here, okay? The first one we're going to do is Boyle's law. And Boyle's law is important. It has to do with how you breathe and lots of other stuff, okay? It's also in a movie. It's one of the few scientific laws that I know of. It's in a movie and it's mentioned by name. It's called Boyle's law. No, it's in the movie, and the movie stars, let's see if anybody can guess the name of it, Cuba Gooding Jr. and Robert De Niro.
What's their characters' names?
De Niro is Lindsay something or other, and Cuba Gooding Jr. is, got enough for you. I don't know his name. Men of Honor. Very good. It's a very good movie, isn't it? It's about
Scuba diving?
it's about deep sea divers.
Yeah.
He wants to be the first black master diver, and then, actually, he was the first black diver, and then he became a master diver, right? Based on a true movie, based on a true story. Cuba Gooding Jr. wants to be a Navy diver, and one of the things that, in the beginning, he and De Niro didn't get along, and De Niro, do you remember this? Who's seen the movie? That's it? Oh, just go home and watch it. It's a good movie. Well, the problem is it's older than most of y'all, I think, isn't it?
I'll bet so.
It was made in the 90s. It was made in the 90s, I bet. It was after Jerry.
Keep getting June, that's what I always think.
Yeah, it was after Jerry Maguire.
They're all.
He was slightly older. All right, listen. At one point, De Niro goes in and drags Cuba Gooding Jr. out of the barracks that he's living in and dunks his head in the water. And he talks about Boyle's law. You remember that? No, didn't mean anything to you at the time.
Sure did.
But now you're going to go home and watch it and see, aren't you? Do you have it?
Yeah.
Good.
The DVD.
I used to have it on DVD. Not anymore. All right. What do you think Boyle's law? Boyle's law relates pressure and volume. What do we say outside about pressure and volume? What happens when the volume went down? What happened to the pressure outside? It went up. They're inversely related. So his question was, what does Boyle's law have to do with Navy divers? Let's think about it. As you go further down, the pressure goes up because there's a lot of water on top of you, right? So pressure goes up. The volume of your lungs would go down, but you force them to be big by forcing air into them, right? Now here comes the problem. What about when you come back to the surface? The pressure starts going down, so the volume of your lungs wants to do what? Well, your lungs are already full. Uh-oh. What do you got to do? Blow bubbles. Not breathe normally. No, you got to blow out. You got to blow out. If you don't, what happens? Well, your lungs won't go right? With the little, what do they call it? The little air sacs in your lungs. Who's had A&P? Alveoli. They will burst, right? If you don't exhale fast enough, because the air inside your lungs is trying to expand. No, the bends is different. That's a different process. That has to do with gas solubility in water and pressure. Different thing. A lot of people think, what I talk about is they think it's a vent. It's not. Vents is when you get nitrogen bubbles in your blood and stuff. That's not what this is, or in your joints. Okay? This is different. So, this is why you don't see a whole lot of old commercial divers or Navy divers or guys that work in the oil rigs and stuff and dive on them. because they dive so much, they don't exhale fast enough sometimes, and they get a lot of scar tissue in their lungs. Kind of like an emphysema person, right? They get holes and stuff in the lungs. Not good for them, right? So normally, commercial divers don't last more than 10 or 15 years because of that. So that's what Boyle's law has to do with Navy diving, okay? Pressure goes up, volume goes down. When the pressure starts to go down, your lungs start to expand, you gotta exhale, okay? That's Boyle's law. And how do we explain Boyle's law? Here's the equation for Boyle's law right here. P1 V1 equals P2 V2. Okay? When things are multiplied together, they're inversely related. Does this look like anything else we've learned in this class? What does it look like? C1 V1 equals C2 V2. As the volume goes up, the concentration goes down, right? As you add more solvent, the concentration goes down, right? As we increase the pressure, the volume goes down. Okay? So if I start with 4 liters and I decrease the volume to 2 liters, the pressure has to go up by a factor of 2, right? The volume has decreased by a factor of 2, the pressure will go up by a factor of 2. Okay? And we could solve this. Let's say we didn't know this right here. Let's solve it. P1 is 1 atmosphere. V1 is 4 liters. V2 is 2 liters. What's P2? Right? So 1 times 4 divided by 2 means that P2 is 2 liters. Right? 2 atmospheres. Right? So you should be able to solve this based upon the fact that we've already done other things like this. Now, not only does it have to do with Navy diving, it also has to do with how you breathe on a regular basis. You got this muscle inside of you, right? Called a diaphragm. What happens? Basically, your thorax, the thoracic cavity expands and contracts, right? The volume gets bigger and smaller. So think about it. If your diaphragm goes down, your lungs have a bigger volume, the pressure goes down, right? The pressure in your lungs goes down. But the pressure outside is still the same. So what does it do? It forces air in. But when your diaphragm contracts, the pressure in your lungs the volume goes down, so the pressure goes way up. What does it do? Forces air back out. Okay? It all is relative to atmospheric pressure. If the pressure outside is less than 1 atmosphere, it doesn't force air in very well. So when you go to the mountains, now the mountains in North Carolina are not too high, but if you go to Denver, people in the other class got this. If you go to Denver where it's high, you have trouble breathing. And they go, that's funny. Did she not get it? Because, in Denver, you're high in more than one way, right? So, Bad. So, there's less atmospheric pressure, right? So it doesn't force the air into your lungs as easily. So it takes a little bit of effort to breathe when you first get there. You have to think about it a little bit more. You got to work a little bit at it. Now, the longer you live there, the less work it takes to do that. Right? So let's do a couple problems. First one, can you guys solve this for me? Remember, what's our equation? I should make y'all do this without a calculator. We'll solve this. If you think about it a little bit, you can solve it without a calculator. Don't want to have to think. Is that what you're saying? Oh, if there's anybody that didn't get their test corrections back or their test slip back and you want it back, then you have to class it. Well, I'll give you the answer sheet back, and then you can go and look and see what you got wrong. Are we ready? So what's P1?
It will be
550 millimeters of mercury. What's volume 1? 8.0 liters. P2, 2,200 millimeters of mercury. And V2 we don't know. That's what we want to know, right? Well, watch. I'm not going to do the math. 550 going to 2,200. What is that? 5 into 20 is 4. 2,200 divided by 550 is 4. So the pressure went up by 4. The volume has to go down by 4. So the final volume is 2 liters. 8 divided by 4 is 2 liters. Huh?
using the calculator is easier.
No. I'm going to give y'all a test where you can't use a calculator. What would you do then?
We need double time.
You can't think a little bit? Thinking is too hard? Seems like, yeah, I won't have to do that. I think thinking is way easier than busting out the calculator. You don't think so? Problem solving is where it's at. You don't want to have to think? You go get a job eventually. You think your boss wants you to be able to think a little bit? Solve some problems on your own? Don't ask every time you need to do something? Be able to solve it? I don't need a calculator. I don't need that tool. Everybody sees how 550 goes into 2,200 4 times? So that means the volume must go down by a factor of 4. So 8 divided by 4 is 2. That's not that hard. That's not that much thinking, is it?